Welcome back, guys. So today I'm going to do something that I think I'll start doing yearly, and I am really excited to do this. I'm going to rank all of the films I have seen that were released in 2018. So every new release that came out this year, I'm ranking, and I have seen 91 movies this year overall that were from 2018. So I'm really excited because I like to see most movies that come out. Even though there are preferred genres I'd rather see, I really do love seeing almost literally everything. And sometimes I don't get the chance to see everything, but there's a lot that I saw this year. 91 movies I think isn't too bad, even though I've beaten that record a couple years before this year. But this year I wasn't able to as much, so let's just get into it and start with my number 91 on this list, which is Slender Man, which was a piece of shit. And that's why it's my last movie on this list, because Slender Man had nothing that went for it, nothing that was interesting, nothing I cared about. It was so incredibly bland and dull, and nothing came out of that movie that made me even remotely think it was good in any way, shape, or form. So that's why it's my number 91. My number 90 is Action Point, the Jackass type movie that Johnny Knoxville did, which was bad as well. Not funny, not humorous. I didn't like it at all. My number 89, funny enough, is a movie that people probably could have liked. I don't know if I bet people like this movie, but I really couldn't stand Pacific Rim Uprising. And I thought the first Pacific Rim was fine, but this one was just so boring and so uninteresting, and these characters were so uninteresting. The jokes were so out there in a way where they were just copying jokes that you see in every Hollywood movie all the time, and it just was really boring. So I really couldn't stand Pacific Rim Uprising. Like, it wasn't the worst movie of the year for me, but it was pretty bad. And then my number 88 is Mile 22, this Mark Wahlberg movie that came out. And I'm blanking on the guy's name who's done all these realistic action movies recently, who did Patriots Day and Deepwater Horizon. But this director really is Peter Berg. He's a really fantastic director when it comes to action and realistic action, and I really do love Deepwater Horizon and Patriots Day, and The Fountain was a good movie that he did too. But Mile 22 was so dull and so uninteresting and so boring and so by-the-numbers action that wasn't entertaining for me. Mark Wahlberg couldn't save it, and John Malkovich couldn't save it. Lauren Conrad, no, or not Lauren Conrad, or what? It might be Lauren Conrad, the girl who was in Walking Dead. Lauren Cohen, sorry, Lauren Cohen. They have a similar name. But those actors couldn't save this movie. I thought the movie was just really dull. So that's why Mile 22 is my number 88. And my number 87 would be Hellraiser Judgment, which is the newest Hellraiser movie, which I think, while not being great, was a better Hellraiser sequel than a lot of the ones right before it. Like Hellraiser Revelations is one of the worst horror movies I've ever seen. So I feel biased, probably thinking that Judgment was way better than Revelation, because the Revelation sucked ass, and it was one of the worst horror movies I've literally ever seen. I think it's atrocious, but Hellraiser Judgment is totally average. Another script that they used Pinhead in, but it still was fun and entertaining. My number 86 was Tremors: A Cold Day in Hell, which the Tremors franchise is fun, and I think that this one was fun too, but out of all of them, they just keep getting more and more samey to where they're just kind of forgettable. Like, I thought this was just kind of a forgettable sequel. Like, I don't remember much about it after looking at this right now. Like, I don't remember much about the movie. It had Jamie Kennedy in it. It had the guy who was Bert in the other movies, but that's it. Like, I don't remember anything else besides that they were in the Arctic, which was a cool, different location, but the movie was just kind of forgettable overall. Now my number 85, we're not at 5 yet, my number 85 is Disney's A Wrinkle in Time, which was a weird-ass movie that if you if you read the book, and I haven't read the book, maybe it would have made a little more sense, but this one was just a weird out there movie that I didn't think was the worst thing ever. It was very by the numbers kids movie in terms of like the plot, but the visuals were really cool. It was a cool visual movie, but overall it just was pretty boring. Pretty uninteresting. Just a weird movie with a lot of weird things. Like giant ass Oprah Winfrey, like that's the size of a house. Like her character is the size of a house in some scenes. Or a size of like a skyscraper. Why? Like it's just so weird. My number 84 would be Winchester, the Helen Mirren horror movie that came out this year. And again, just the reason why a lot of these movies are down really so low is just because they're so forgettable. Like Winchester was really forgettable. I honestly am blanking on what even transpired in the movie besides the fact that she went to the Winchester house and there were ghosts. And it was a scary, but that's all I remember. There's nothing else to remember about Winchester. So that's why it's probably my number 84 and should stay that way. And my number 83 is Eli Roth's Death Wish, the remake of the Charles Bronson Death Wish, which I haven't seen. But this Death Wish with Bruce Willis, I thought Bruce Willis actually did give an alright performance as opposed to all the shit he's been in recently. But the movie is just kind of, again, by the numbers. There's not much to it that made it stand out. So that's why it's my number 83. My number 82 would be The Grinch, the animated Illumination movie, which was really forgettable because Illumination is very forgettable, but they market the shit out of everything. So that's how they get butts in the seats. They have cute characters. They have things that are cutesy for kids, but they don't have any plot or anything that makes the movies unique. Even Despicable Me, which is considered the best one, was ripped off by like Megamind and stuff. So it's really just, The Grinch was just a really forgettable movie that's honestly, like the Jim Carrey one is more memorable. So that's why it's my number 82. And my number 81 is Alpha, which people probably don't even know about, but it came out this year, and it was just this caveman story of like this boy and this wolf fighting to survive, and it was just okay. There was nothing about it that made it stand out. Again, nothing that really made it interesting. So Alpha is my number 81. My number 80 would be Truth or Dare, that Blumhouse movie that had the silly-ass animation mouths going up like this, smiley faces, because it's a horror movie about this demon killing off people who do Truth or Dare. So it's like It Follows, except for it's not a sexual allegory. It's that this demon just possesses people and tells them to tell their deepest secrets or dare them to do something dangerous. But it's It Follows again, but shitty. But it was entertainingly bad. It was not awful. It was not the worst thing ever. It was entertainingly bad. So that's why it's my number 80. And I need to take a break. Get a soda. I'm getting pumped. My number 79 would be The Spy Who Dumped Me. Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon movie. That was a comedy that I typically would think this looked really shitty, and it did in the trailers, but I thought that Kate McKinnon and Mila Kunis are really funny in a lot of their stuff. So I did see this, and it wasn't awful. It was just really, again, forgettable. There was nothing that stood out to it. And I keep saying forgettable, but a lot of these underneath this ranked list are forgettable. And then my number 78 would be The Commuter, the Liam Neeson action movie of the year, which was totally fun and serviceable. Number 77 would be the Melissa McCarthy Life of the Party movie, which is just another one of those repeats of like an 80s like movie where like a character goes back to school and embarrasses the kid that's at the school too. And it's forgettable. And there's a couple funny moments, but it's forgettable. Number 76 is I Feel Pretty, that Amy Schumer movie, which Amy Schumer cracks me up with anything, so I'd see anything with her in it, and she did crack me up in a lot of moments, but there were a lot of moments where she had to fall with the script, and the script was not good, so she really suffered in this movie. But again, just forgettable again. Like, I keep saying forgettable, but it really is. And then number 75, again, I'm just going to say one word for this movie, Breaking In, forgettable. Number 74 is Skyscraper, which was really fun, but again, forgettable. And then 73 was Night School. the jokes were all right and fun, and Tiffany Haddish cracks me up in anything she's in, and she really did. And Kevin Hart cracked me up a couple times, but it was just typical Kevin Hart shit. Um, and then number 72 was Uncle Drew, which was, again, fun, and it was kind of heartfelt in a way, funny enough. But I did enjoy it a little bit. Like, it was a little bit of a fun time, Uncle Drew, because these characters were kind of fun and were kind of interesting for this type of comedy. Number 71 is the Jennifer Lawrence, Francis Lawrence movie, Red Sparrow. This one is just not up my alley in terms of interesting. I don't really care as much for real life based, stuff out of country. I just think it's not, I need to get more into that, but it just is not very interesting to me, and this one was not very interesting, and it was too long in my opinion, for me personally, and I just don't really care about the subject matter that much, so that's why I didn't think it was that interesting, but overall, but as a movie, it's totally alright. It's not awful, it's just okay. Then number 70, a really guilty pleasure, Nobody's Fool, this Tyler Perry movie with Tiffany Haddish as well in this movie. Like the third Tiffany Haddish movie. Jeez, she's been in a lot of movies this year, but she cracks me up in anything she's in. Nobody's Fool was so bad, but it was hilarious in a lot of moments. There was a flat-out hilarious Chris Rock cameo in that movie that I just lost it at. And there were a lot of really funny moments in it overall. But it was because it's a really shitty, exploitive Tyler Perry movie, but it was still fun. And then my number 69 would be The Nun, the first Conjuring movie that I really don't see myself rewatching. I mean, I probably will if I watch, all of them together, but I feel like I won't be looking forward to it. The Nun was just, it had some cool, it had some cool cinematography to it, but it had a lot of dumb jump scare tactics. It's bad because The Conjuring, overall, the franchise should be a little better than that, even though the first Annabelle did that, but I think that the first Annabelle is more watchable than this one. So that's why The Nun is my number 69. It's just a really forgettable one overall. And number 68 is Unfriended Dark Web, which I actually enjoyed. I thought that this was actually really fun, and actually these villains were really scary, and I thought that the found footage was done more interesting, or the Skype call footage was done better than the first Unfriended, which I thought was totally fine too, but I thought this one was fun. And my number 7, I guess you could, or my number 67, you can call it a guilty pleasure too, I guess, but that movie Peppermint with Jennifer Gardner, overall, it's just by the numbers action movie, but I thought that Jennifer Gardner was fine in it in the moment she was in the movie. In terms of, her character was fine with what she was given, and the action was totally serviceable, and I thought it was fun overall, but it was just forgettable as well, but it was fun overall. It still was just kind of forgettable. Number 66 would be Teen Titans Go to the Movies, which is a thing. I have not watched the new Teen Titans show. I watched the original show in the 2000s, but I didn't watch this new show, and I did enjoy this overall. I thought it was a fun, silly time. The humor was funny. They did funny jokes cracking at superhero movies, so I did enjoy it. And my number 65 would be Goosebumps 2: Haunted Halloween. Now, this one was fun because I grew up with Goosebumps as well. It was a really fun, silly time, and I liked the use of, again, the most famous character, Slappy, using him in this movie a lot. He was fun. Jack Black was fun as the voice of Slappy again. These characters were serviceable. Seeing the Goosebumps monsters I grew up as a kid was fun. It was a fun movie overall. So, Goosebumps 2 is my number 65. Now, my number 64 would be Venom, one of the newest Sony Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man. Now, I kind of regret this because I wish I could have moved this up a tiny bit because, on Letterboxd, in terms of rating it star-wise, I gave it 3 stars out of 5, which I think is totally fine. I just think I should have given it 3.5 because I thought Tom Hardy really did give a lot to this movie. He made it really interesting and really fun. He is an absolute standout, but my issues with Venom is that everybody else is just kind of bland and forgettable. The villain's forgettable. Michelle Williams, a great actress, is forgettable in this movie. It's just everything else is forgettable. Tom Hardy is great. He's a great Eddie Brock and a great Venom. He's got a great performance. So Venom was fun, but I had issues with it. And my number 63 would be another Dwayne Johnson movie, Rampage, which was really fun. I honestly did have a good time with this. I did like these characters a lot. I thought that for what this type of movie was, it was entertaining, and I thought that Dwayne Johnson was, of course, entertaining as usual. I like Naomi Harris a lot. I thought she was good in it. She has a good acting performance in the movie, too, but surprisingly, with the material she's gotten, I like that a lot. So I did enjoy Rampage. I thought it was really fun. And my number 62 would be Early Man, which was the newest Aardman movie, which was fun. And I like that the trailers deceived us to be something that it isn't. But then whenever you realize what the movie is, it's just kind of bland. But still, it was a fun time, and these characters were fun. The animation was fun. It was goofy and silly. It was a fun time. My number 61 would be The Christmas Chronicles, which is a Netflix movie that has Kurt Russell as Santa Claus, and this one was really fun as well. Kurt Russell brings a lot of fun to this. I wouldn't have really wanted to just see this movie out of obligation if Kurt Russell wasn't in it, because he's really a fun actor, and I really do enjoy him in almost everything I see him in. And I liked him, like he really pulled me into this, and the characters are fun, and I liked this, how it was a kind of different Christmas story thing, but not completely, but it was fun overall. And my number 60 would be The House with a Clock in Its Walls, another Eli Roth movie, which is the better of the two this year. I thought this was really fun. I thought that Jack Black was really fun, and I thought that Cate Blanchett was really good as well. I thought that they both had really fun banter between each other, and I thought that the kid character was fun. And I thought that this was a really kind of what the trailer was cribbing on would be another Harry Potter movie. And it is a wizard type of movie, but it's not the same thing. But it is fun and entertaining. Not anywhere near as great as Harry Potter, but it's a fun time. My number 59 would be Hotel Artemis, which is a really cool, fun movie where it's about this group of people in this hotel, which is like the hotel from John Wick, where like you can't kill each other there, but these are all like killers and assassins all in this hotel together, and they're being attacked, and they gotta like save this hotel while Jodie Foster is the owner. And it's actually really fun, and I like the performances a lot. I like the action a lot. Like, it was a fun time. I really enjoyed that. And my number 58 would be The Cloverfield Paradox, which is a drastic difference in terms of the other two Cloverfield movies in terms of quality. Like, it really feels like everything was ham-fisted in with the monster in this movie, but the characters were totally fine and serviceable, and it was an interesting, intriguing idea, but it just fell flat in a lot of aspects. But I did like the main performance a lot from that one girl, and I don't know how to pronounce her name. It's like Gugu Mbatha Ra. Like, it's literally, that's almost how you say her name. She's like a famous like singer, but like she's really good in it, and the performances are totally fine, but it just fell flat with like being a Cloverfield movie, like as opposed to the first one or the other, or the 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is incredible. But this one is just okay. Number 57 would be Insidious: The Last Key, and this one is a fun one. I thought that it actually overall was like Lynn Shay was really good in it and really did bring a lot to this movie. Like, she brought a lot to this character, and she actually, since these movies keep going backwards, like, it brought a lot to her character, and you learn more about her. And I like the fact that this is a horror movie, but it has a lot about character. Even though it's simply written, I liked her performance. I thought she was really good. And the scares are okay. They're average, just like most of the Insidious movies. The sequels, I guess. The first one was pretty scary, but the sequels are pretty average. But in terms of scares. So that's my number 57. And my number 56 would be Ready Player One, which is really fun in terms of a fan servicey way. Like, I wasn't born in the 80s, but I know a lot of 80s-isms. Not all of them, because I wasn't born in the 80s, but I thought that this was a fun time. I thought that, like, the characters were serviceable. I thought that the visuals were really cool. I thought that it was cool seeing references to everything else from the 80s, but besides that, there wasn't much else to cling on. But it was totally a fine, fun, blockbuster time. And my number 55 would be Tag. Now, Tag is a fun really funny movie. I really actually liked all of these actors in this movie. All the actors did great. I thought that it was just a fun idea that's based on a real story, actually, about these people who play tag for 30 years. It was a really, really hilarious time. I genuinely laughed a lot. And my number 54 would be Den of Thieves, which a Gerard Butler movie, which is about this heist, which was honestly really fun as well. It actually, Gerard Butler brought a lot to this fun. He's an actor that does a lot with this B movie type of performance, and I'm not saying that as a way to insult him, but he is great in that way. Like, he's a very fun, charismatic actor that does great in these B movies that would have been worse if he wasn't in them, and I really did like him in this movie, and I thought that all the other characters were fine too. Ice Cube's son, whatever his name is in it as well. He's really great. And my number 53 would be Kin. Now, Kin is that movie with the kid with the alien gun, and like him and his brother go on a road trip. This was fun, and I thought that overall, like, I was kind of invested in the characters, and I did like the basic action. It wasn't like a movie about aliens. It had an alien gun, but it wasn't really action heavy. So it was fun. And number 52 would be Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Now, this is one of those movies where you're gonna love it or hate it. It's obviously trying to be what it is. It's obviously trying to be really cheesy, really dumb. But I had a fun time with it. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was the worst thing ever. I thought in terms of action and visuals, it was a fun time, and I didn't mind it at all. And my number 51 would be The Happy Time Murders, which is that other Melissa McCarthy movie that came out this year about the puppets that Jim Henson's son did, and it's vulgar. And it was really funny. I did crack up a lot. I thought that Melissa McCarthy did better in this than Life of the Party. I thought that she was really funny, and I thought that her against the puppet were really funny, and the guy who voices the puppet is great. So I really like that as well. And I'm going to stop here and do a part 2 because I'm running out of breath. I'm running out of breath here, so I'm going to go back and do part 2, which would be my 50 to number 1. So thank you guys so much for watching. Check out the next video.